I'm going to avoid I told you so's and talk about more why Capital Games is doing this. Because I've talked about this a bunch. But I've talked about it a bunch, but I guess we can go over it again, I guess. Ships is the direction they're pushing the game, because ships is the most profitable, untapped area of the game, right? They know people will spend their $300 for characters because characters are fun and cool and awesome and they're shiny and people like them, right? But each individual marquee character doesn't exactly offer you a whole heck of a lot in terms of GAC viability, right? Each individual marquee character doesn't really help enough to make a difference. Like, ninth, whatever the brother was, just think of the Inquisitors, right? None of them have really helped anyone win, right? But what has helped people win is the Interceptor, is Razor Crest, is, you know, the Enchilada, the Thai Echelon for the First Order faction. Not so much the Dash ship, because it's just kind of underwhelming, but a lot of people are like, oh, maybe we'll get another Rebel fleet, and then we'll have 2 fleets. But since there's a lot less fleets, there's a lot more opportunity to get money out of them because they're inherently way more valuable than an individual character. Because there are like 300 characters in the game. And, you know, depending on where you are, you need a certain amount, like 100 to maybe at like the top, you need 200 characters to full clear and to place a full defense. I don't even know at this point, right? But you need a bunch of them, so each individual one it's so saturated that each individual character can't really offer a lot unless they're a Galactic Legend or a Star Killer or a Gas or a Jedi Knight Luke, right? There's a few characters that can offer that. But for ships, it's so much easier to make a ship that people need to have, right? It's so much easier to make a TIE Echelon or an Interceptor or whatever Hocus Pocus, Hingus Pingus, Luke X-Wing that they decide to add in the future, right? Because you need so many less ships than you do characters. They're inherently way more valuable. Especially because the number of capital ships we have with 3 fleets for Kyber, you don't really have an opportunity to 2-shot a lot of times, right? Not everyone has all 7 capital ships maxed out, right? So if they blanket all of Kyber with 3 fleets, what they're doing is they're taking all of the people like us who are not spending lots of money but are really good at the game, right? This ship hit goes to people who are really good at the game but didn't prepare properly, right? So the people who are good at the game and are punching up are not going to have the ships, assuming they, you know, missed every APGAINS video the last 2 months and didn't prepare, right? They're going to fall down because the one critical resource, extra fleets, they're not going to have. So now that advantage that they had over people who are much larger is gone, because they don't have those fleets. So what they're doing is they're flushing all of the poor people out of Kyber. And if you want to stay in Kyber and you don't spend money, you either have to go on a godlike run, be super lucky, or spend money, or you're just flushed out, right? So they're pushing all the poor people out to make room for the new people who are like, hey, maybe I kind of like being in Kyber 3 or whatever I am, and I want to spend a couple of Dollaruskis on whatever new ship that they offer, right? But ships are also super hard to farm because there's not a lot of them. But most importantly, they're hard to farm because they don't need gear, right? Gear is what prevents you from getting a character usable, because everyone has a 3-star, 9th sister. I don't even know the numbers of the sisters anymore. I don't know why I'm using the Inquisitors as examples. But everyone has a 3-star of all of these great characters, but they're not usable because they don't have the gear. So they get to blockade you on the shards, but that's not that bad because they become free-to-play farmable pretty quickly nowadays. But more importantly, what they're doing is they're blocking you on gear. There's no gear on ships, so they don't have that ability to prevent you from getting a usable ship with gear. So instead, they just make it impossible to get the ships. Yeah, they gotta wait a year, or you gotta slowly farm them up 1 shard at a time. Like, how long have I been farming the Emperor Shuttle? I think I've been farming the Emperor Shuttle for 2 months. And I have 66 out of 80 shards of the Emperor Shuttle, right? So now what they're going to start doing is they're going to start putting in a lot of ships. They're going to start flooding the market with ships because they're so unbelievably important now that if you care about your top 200 or top or whatever placement in Kyber and you need those 3 fleets, you basically have to reconcile within yourself, within your heart, within your little PP penguin heart. Do I press my luck and hope my opponents suck and keep pushing up? Do I fall down? Do I use all of my crystals from GAC to do refreshes or to buy packs of these ships? Or do I spend money? And at the end of the day, that's everything they'd want to do, right? Everything they want to do is to put you in a situation where you have to decide, do I want to take a step back or do I want to spend money? Because at the end of the day, it's a game, it's a company. There's people who get paid a lot of money in their office building who are sitting there all day, click-clacking away on their computers, trying to figure out how to make money for the game. Because that's literally the point. I mean, everyone does that. We shouldn't be like, oh, Capital Games, their employees are good at their jobs. I know there's kind of that emotional side of it because we play the game. We're the Star Wars fans. We want to be able to have a fun gaming experience, free to play and all of that good stuff. And as someone who doesn't spend money on the game, I totally agree with you guys. But that's what the whole... At the end of the day, that's what like the APGAINS greatest free-to-play farming guide of all time is about. Is it's easy to kind of predict what their suits are going to do to make money, right? Like a couple months ago when I said we all got to start farming ships, it's important. It's easy to predict what they're going to do to take our money. So we have to figure out a way, like the APGAINS approved farming guide, to kind of circumvent that. To be as efficient as possible, to punch up as far as possible, to be a step ahead of Capital Games themselves, right? So that when the time comes that we have to make the decision, step back or pay money, we're already prepared for that event, so we don't have to take a step back, and we don't have to take money because we prepared for that. When GLs were all coming out and everyone's clamoring to rush SLKR and C, we're like, well, it's kind of going in the direction of every Galactic Legend is going to be kind of counterable, and they're not going to have enough teams to beat us. So what did we do? We didn't focus on the Galactic Legends. We focused on getting up a bunch of teams, getting up a couple of teams taking off meta Galactic Legends, and now we're at a point where Galactic Legends are basically useless. They're all off metaable, and if you don't have enough teams, especially because the way GAC works, you're screwed, right? Because everyone who's a good player is going to have to punch up, which means you're going to need more teams, or you need more teams, or you need this, or you need that, you need to flexibility, you're going to be able to counter GL, you need all this, right? But so what we do is we anticipate, like we did like 2 months ago with the fleet change, and we're like, they're probably going to go in this direction because that makes the most sense, right? So what do? We just start farming fleets, and then they're like, oh, hey, 3 fleets, all Kyber, and we're like, hey, awesome, we farmed Conquest, we have Interceptor, we pushed up a Rebel fleet a little bit, we have been farming Executor for the last year, we've been doing this, we've been doing that, and now, you know, I'm facing people 3 million more GP than me, and what's the secret to winning? It's fleet-only defense. I took what Capital Games wanted to be my weakness. Capital Games intentionally made ships more important to make people like me do worse so that I would either suck or have to spend money. But since we made it a strength, Capital Games just gave us more free crystals. Because it's obvious what they're doing. So we like, oh, let's just do this. And now, instead of being fucked like everyone else, we're just sitting back, fleet-only defense. Even if we don't play fleet-only defense, we have a fleet advantage. Like what I've been doing in GAC against my big opponents. I think I might be able to show you my GAC defense right now. Like, we place a lot of good stuff up here. You know, they have to reconcile, like, do we go top, do we go bottom? And usually they go bottom. My bottom's not super thick for Kyber 3. Like, this is kind of trash. I don't even place characters in the back wall. Like, I place this and only one team so they get free banners, right? I understand that I need to back out, right? So we basically just give them points because now that there's 3 fleets, like I'm placing Executor and like useless level 1 fleets, right? They're going to get this. But now that 3 fleets, the zone on top is more important. They're deterred to go down here. They realize this is open. We go here, we go here. We have more points than them, right? So now I've turned something that Capital Games wanted to be a weakness into a strength, and we're winning more GACs, right? So I guess at the end of the day, you basically just need to have your nose to the ground. You got to Pink Panther that shit. What's the Pink Panther theme song? I don't even know at this point. But at the end of the day, you kind of just have to, I don't know, watch APGAINS videos, go on the forums, watch, you know, what people are talking about, and it's usually pretty obvious the direction that Capital Games is pushing us in, because it's always going to be the area where they can make the most money, right? This is some, like, Sun Tzu Art of War. Like, you have to know your enemy to win, right? We're in a constant free-to-play versus Capital Games battle to be successful in Grand Arena, right? We're in a constant war to be good and not have to give them our money, right? So all we have to do is think about what are they going to do to make the most amount of money, and then we just prepare for that case, that eventuality, and then when it happens, we can take advantage of it. I don't know why I rant so much. APGAINS live streams are a little weird. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Subscribe if you haven't already to help make my ego get bigger, because I want 16969 subscribers, because that's 69 twice. That's the funny number, and that's for AP's Ego April, the month of April, where it's all about AP's ego, because as you can tell by listening to that rant, it's gigantic, and I think I'm the fucking king of the world, apparently, because I'm an asshole.